Good morning. Today is Thursday, July 4th, 2024. I want to wish a very happy Independence Day to those who are celebrating today. Moshe sent 12 spies to bring back a report about the land of Israel and to bring this report back to the Jewish people in the desert. Two of the spies, Kalev and Yehoshua, spoke glowingly about the land. 10 of the spies spoke negatively, and the crowd believed them, and they became hysterical. God was very angry and saw that these people did not deserve to enter the land of Israel, and God said, last week's Torah portion, the Parsha Shlach, B'mispar hayamim asher tartem es haaretz, you will be punished according to the number of the days that you traveled through the land. The Torah told us, Arboim Yom, they traveled the length and breadth of the land of Israel for 40 days, spying out the land. Arboim Yom, 40 days, God says, Yom l'shana, Yom l'shana. 1 day equals 1 year of punishment. Tisu es avonosechem arbaim shana. Your punishment will be that all told, you will spend 40 years wandering in the desert. 40 days walking around Israel, then you bring back a terrible report, 40 days, the punishment is 40 years delay in entering the land of Israel. But wait a second. Rav Chaim Shmulevitz asks the following question. They only sinned 1 day. Their sin was the day that they returned and they gave their negative report. 40 days they were traveling around gathering the data, gathering the information, the impressions. They did speak Lashon Hara. They did speak, the 10 spies did speak negatively about Israel, and they were wrong. But that was a 1-day occurrence. Why should they have been punished for 40 days, 40 years, when their sin was only 1 day? Rav Chaim Shmulevitz explains, yes, the words that they spoke negatively about Israel, falsely and negatively about Israel, that occurred on 1 day, the day they returned and they gave their report. But where did those words come from? Those words came from 40 days of living and traveling in Israel, thinking badly about Israel the entire time, seeing everything they saw in the worst possible light. It was 40 days of an ayin ra, a bad eye, an eye that looks at something with a preconceived notion, with a prejudice, with an already formed negative opinion, so that whatever you see, you will fit into your preconceived prejudice notion. The people are too strong. The land is harsh. It was 40 days of this kind of looking at things with a jaundiced eye that then expressed itself on 1 day of speaking. But the 1 day of speaking was based on 40 days of warped viewing. And the same is true in our individual lives. When we gossip or slander another person, the words that we say, they're just the manifestation of the negative feelings we have for them, which may percolate over time, that's the essence of the sin. The essence of the sin is looking at someone and always assuming the worst motive, always assuming the most base idea or practice. No matter what we see, it expresses itself in the words, but the words are only the expression. The sin is based on how we are looking at it. To look at another, or to look at Israel with an ayin ra, a bad eye, that means to be looking for the problems, looking for the shortcomings, looking for the obstacles. And if you go into a situation assuming something is bad or assuming someone is bad, whatever you find, you will make it fit your bad eye. But if you look with an ayin tov, with a good eye, if you're looking for what is good, then there would be no lashon hara. Yehoshua and Kalev understood God had promised victory and that the land was exceedingly good. And with that eye, with the certainty of God's promise of triumph, everything they saw confirmed that it was good. And they came back and they said, the cities are fortified because the inhabitants were weak and they're afraid of us. And the soldiers there are fierce and they will be defeated by us as God promised. The question the Jewish people faced on that fateful day was who to believe. And tragically, the Jewish people chose unwisely. They chose those who went into Israel and traveled its length and breadth for 40 days with a jaundiced eye. Every single day with an initial dislike. And so everything they saw confirmed their preconceived notion. The people rejected the view of those who went in certain of God's promise of success, which God had already repeatedly proven to the Jewish people by this point. Just objectively, empirically, logically, this was the correct, most reasonable approach to take. We have God's track record. But people do not always choose wisely between two competing views. And we see this so clearly today. We look around us in the world and we read, we see what people say about Israel, what people say about Jews. And we need to ask the question, what is the source of people's information that they have such negative views? Where is the information coming from? Who are they believing when the world overwhelmingly believes the negative portrayal of Israel as it's portrayed in so much of the news? Yehoshua and Kalev, the Torah tells us, had ruach acheres, a different spirit. They dared to express an alternative evaluation. They opposed the popular opinion, and they stood strong as a minority of voice because the majority is not always right. And the amazing thing is that these two groups, the group of 10 spies and the group of 2 spies, Kalev and Yehoshua, they saw the same facts. They experienced the same experience. They viewed the same views. But one group did so with an ayin ra, with an eye towards finding fault, and the other looked at it with an ayin tov, with a good eye, with the certainty of God's promise. We hear today Israel accused of atrocities, and genocide, and it appears now that much of the world believes these lies. So, first, it's important to say that any accusation, any charge, needs to be addressed calmly with data. We have to counter misinformation and disinformation with good information, with facts. We need to respond. But we also need to ask ourselves, whose story should people believe? What is the agenda of the people speaking negatively about Israel? What is their bias? What do they gain by accusing Israel of these ridiculous charges? How do they respond in other situations? Do they speak out against the horrors committed against the citizens of Syria, or Darfur, or North Korea, or so many other places? Are they really consistent in their outrage? Or does it have something to do with Jews and Judaism and Israel? And at the same time that we need to ask these questions, we also need to say to ourselves, we need to connect to Kalev and Yehoshua. We need to be reaffirmed and strengthened in the correct facts. And yes, the correct facts sometimes indicate a mistake is made. Nebuch, God forbid. And we need to take ownership of that and responsibility and fix it. But it's got to be the correct facts, not the lies that are being perpetrated. This parsha of Shlach comes to us at just the moment when we need it the most. It prepares us for the jarring reality we are undergoing today and have since October 7th. That a majority of the world believes lies. That a majority of the world denies that women were raped by Hamas and by Gazans. A majority of the world who blames Israel for deaths by terrorists shooting from schools and hospitals. A majority of the world who equates innocent civilians taken as captives with prisoners who have been arrested and tried and convicted of murder. And the world believes this when they are primed to believe all of this. And we need to maintain, like Kalev and Yehoshua, our Ruach Acheres. We need to tell the truth. We need to not be dismayed when the majority follows a false view, because we know it happens. But we also know there is power in standing up for the truth, even when, I would say, especially when we are in the minority. And sometimes the greatest, clearest truth comes from a child. School recently ended for the year for young children. A child in Israel wrote a thank you note to her teacher. The child lives in what is called the Gaza envelope, one of the communities just outside the border of Gaza. You will only see a note from a child written to a teacher living in such a place. I'm going to make up the teacher's name because it's blacked out. I'll just say Leah. Ani ma'acheles leLeah. I have a wish for my teacher Leah. I'm making up her name. Ani smecha she'at hamora sheli. I am happy that you are my teacher, that you have been my teacher all year long. Ani rotzeh sheyilach sameach b'chayim. I want you to be happy in life. Shetia bria, and you should be healthy. Shelo yichatfu otach, that you should not be taken captive. Velo tamosi, and you should not be killed. V'sheyiyalach chofesh keif, and for you to have a happy summer vacation. This is the truth. This is the reality. This is what our children are praying for. That their teachers are not captured and they're not murdered. Ruach acheres. We have a different spirit, and we stand with the truth, and we speak that truth to all those who are speaking with an ayin ra, a jaundiced eye that colors everything they see. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.